Hi there friends, today I'm sharing a layout for Cropping the Country. We were supposed to be at a retreat this weekend and sadly that was cancelled because of COVID. So they are holding an online crop instead, and each of the designers got to set a challenge for everyone just for a little bit of fun. And my challenge is a tic-tac-toe. And I really like these sorts of challenges because I think they're very loose. You can interpret them as you wish. So they're great for people being able to participate. And I'll leave the challenge details at the beginning again. But as I say, it's just for a bit of fun, so nothing too elaborate. So for my challenge, I am going to be using some of the elements of the design, and I'm going to just add a little bit of colour to my background. And as you can see, I've used some of the magicals from Lindy's Stamp Gang. Just add a little bit of colour. Now, I'm not a mixed media person by any stretch of your imagination. But as you can see, I've simply scooped out some of the mica powders onto a bit of old packaging, spritzed it with water so it creates an iridescent watercolour basically. So it's great for adding a little bit of colour just to ground my elements. I think my biggest objection with mixed media is I hate a warped background, so a little bit of colour behind I can just about cope with. So my layout, I am scrapping a couple of photos from a recent Zoom call, or we had a call with a few of the girls, a few crafty friends. And so I thought it might be fun just to scrap that little photo. And it's really simple, this layout. I'm using some pieces of paper from crepe paper, I believe. This came in a hip kit from 2020. Sweet Story, I think that's right. So Sweet Story, and that is a bit of paper from Stamp Market. It was also from the same kit, same hip kit. So I've decided I'm going to part with some of it because I've been stroking it long enough. So as I say, it's a really simple design. I'm just going to map my photos, and I'm just using bits of pattern paper. I've tended not to buy a lot of new pattern paper recently, just because I do get a lot with the hip kits. But then I've used up all of those as well. So, oh, look at me, no pattern papers. Would you believe that? It's probably not true either, but there you go. But you do have your favourites, don't you? So just to make the design a little bit more interesting, I've made this little peekaboo piece on the left-hand side just by tearing the paper and folding that back. And I've fussy cut those flowers from a Jen Hadfield piece of paper, also from the same hip kit. But I'm sure you can still get that paper around. But it is one of my favourite pieces of paper. I think I've fussy cut it to death. Because we're lucky enough to get 2 pieces of each pattern paper in the hip kits. So I've actually fussy cut probably both papers, and I just would do another 10 sheets if I had it. The flowers are just so pretty, the colours are just gorgeous. And I know it makes no sense and has nothing to do with my photos whatsoever, but I've just fussy cut out some of the lovely little hot air balloons. That's also from crepe paper. I mean, during all this lockdown here in the UK, hasn't crafting been our saviour, if you ask me? It's nice to be able to chat to people online that's not in your household, that kind of likes the same things that you like. So yeah, I would have been completely lost without them. So I'm just going to add a little bit of stamping detail to the background, just because you can. And I was using one of my Distress Oxide inks for that, just so it blended in with that colour that I created. I know we've all missed out on so many things. So it is really good to be able to go and do something that kind of makes up for it in a little way. I was just experimenting with some different papers there, but I think I've just kept it simple in the end. So I've stuck that down, the background down now, and I'm just going to arrange those flowers. So don't be afraid to cut things off if they don't go, so if the leaves aren't in the right shape for you. And I decided I needed a few more flowers, so I've just taken a little bit of scrap paper, I think this is pink, like a pale pink, and I'm just going to hand draw some of those leaves to try and match up with the ones in the pattern paper. And you can see I already have one stuck down. And I'm just going to make a few more because I really like these when I do a flower cluster. I just think it helps to balance out the design, and I just like the way that they can lead the eye away from the flowers into the right directions. So that's pretty good going for me. I'm already at the sticking down stage. Normally I have to faff around for like hours on end. I am trying to be more assertive and stop moving things about because I just end up pushing paper backwards and forwards. But they are so pretty, those flowers. I wish I could draw. I'll be drawing those flowers all day long. So I don't tend to draw my own leaves or anything, but now that I've done these, I think, well, I'll do them all the time, so perhaps I will in future. So really that is the design, and it's just a case of now embellishing. So I think this is the fun bit of a layout, really, for me at least. So once you've got, I sometimes find it difficult to find a design that I like, that ticks all the boxes. But it's really when you get to the embellishing part that it really comes to life, and it's definitely the fun bit. So I'm adding another little peekaboo area at the bottom there, just by rolling up the corner, and again I think it just ties in the overall feel of the layout. So by adding another cluster of flowers, it kind of leads your eye across the page and down a little bit, which I really like. There's that beautiful paper from Pebbles. I think it's a Jen Hadfield. I can't remember the collection. But I'll just go ahead and fussy cut that. Now, I am a real fussy cutter, but I know it's not for everybody. But I could just fussy cut all day long, to be honest. And you'll notice that I keep the scissors still and move the paper. But if you have some really good scissors, it's not difficult fussy cutting. But I just think it's a really great way to stretch your supplies. So I guess you could have had die cut flowers, but by fussy cutting you can get dozens and dozens for the price of a piece of paper. So that has my vote every time. So I must have skipped a little bit there and just added on my perspective. That perspective, the Bramble Fox perspective, is from the, let me think, on the February, March, so it must be the February Fox box. I lose track because I'm working a month ahead as well as in the current one. I'm easily confused anyway. And I've also added on some of the little hearts then from Bramble Fox also, as you might imagine. And I just find those a really cute way to add a little bit more detail to a page without them being heavy. And I've started doing different sets of hearts. I mean, hearts and stars are always a favourite with customers, but it was quite difficult for me to keep so many in stock and, so many different colour combinations. But I recently got a new set of storage drawers in my room, so I have a little bit more space and hoping to keep some more and specific combinations in stock. So as I say, it's just a question of embellishing now. So I'm just adding a few little bits and pieces here and there. When I've finished with a collection or I have a scrap piece of paper, I tend to create punch out some little elements rather than throw the whole piece of paper away. And my tab punch is one of the best things I've ever bought. It's from We Are Memory Keepers, and you can see the little tabs there. And I'll just punch out a bunch from a piece of paper that was destined for the dustbin, and keep those in the little pack so you've always got them handy. And sometimes you just need a little pop of colour somewhere or somewhere to hold a date, and they're absolutely perfect for that. So I couldn't recommend that punch enough. And because it's a punch, it takes a couple of seconds to do rather than have to get out your die cutting machine. And I just want something to go over that black part of the photo there. So that's where we have an uneven number of people on the Zoom call. So I was just trying to find what could I do on that corner. I need to have a think about it. So I looked in my stash for some die cuts and whatnots, and then landed on the idea of just stamping out a camera there. I didn't want to add too many heavy elements because I've got quite a lot going on now. So I just needed to balance it out with something quite light. So again, one of those heart perspectives were the perfect candidate for that. And then a little sentiment. So I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of the layout and also details of the Tic-Tac-Toe for this challenge. It was a private challenge, but you know, if you want to take part, that would be really super. I'd love to see what you create, so do tag me on Instagram as @cropcat. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and you'll subscribe and follow me. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.